I received a lot of comments about my recent video explaining why I'm not a fan of TypeScript. Honestly, the main point of that video was simply to share why, from my perspective, TypeScript feels pointless. When I code, I often stop to ask, does this even matter? Am I improving the program? Or just playing with clever syntax? I'm a minimalist. If you can delete it and the code still works, it's probably just cruft. Take C++, for example. Types in C++ aren't optional. They're strictly required because the compiler needs explicit information about memory layout to manage memory allocation and access correctly. Without clearly defined types, the compiler literally doesn't know how to handle memory.
That said, in C++, you have the power to create higher level abstractions that hide the low level details. I once built my own any class based on an omniorb specification. I'll create a link to the specification if you're interested in history.
To allow you to assign any fundamental type to an object, we use something called operator overloading, which lets you dynamically determine the type and memory layout of objects based on how they're assigned. For example, you could overload an assignment operator to handle multiple types gracefully, giving you more flexibility and dynamism.
Still, that experience deepened my appreciation for dynamically typed languages. When I started using Python, it felt wonderful.
It felt like a breath of fresh air because it embraced exactly that pattern without all the complicated type handling.
JavaScript has operated this way from the very start, even though the term any wasn't popularized until TypeScript came along. In JavaScript, variables naturally hold values of type without explicit annotations. While I'm not entirely sure how JavaScript engines manage the memory under the hood, I suspect it might be similar to the omniorb any specification, at least conceptually.
For me, typeless languages are great productivity boosters because you're not constantly fighting with casting between types or dealing with compile time errors that distract your brain from solving actual problems. Dynamically typed languages boost my productivity because I'm not stuck wrestling with types.
Sure, types matter in databases, but that's handled by ORMs. And types matter when you're submitting HTML forms and at other times. But only about 5% of your day should you really be thinking about types, not 95% of the day.
You can write JavaScript without TypeScript and ship great software. TypeScript, in my experience, just adds friction, extra tools, extra steps. But I get it. It's the industry standard now, and I don't always get my way. Still, none of this really matters. Language wars are outdated. We've got models now that can translate between languages on the fly, seeing past syntax to the real structure underneath. Semicolons, curly braces, list comprehensions, they're just decoration. So why am I still talking about this? Because part of me is still stuck in a world where syntax mattered. It's time to let that go. Hopefully, this is my last word on TypeScript. Time to move on.